Hello everyone, I hope you all are doing fine. I am Pooja Sharma, your current affairs and history faculty at Tathastu ICS, and today we are going to discuss a very important news from our art and culture section, which is very important for your UPSC examination. So we are going to discuss about an important archaeological site at Patna which holds a great historical as well as cultural value. So before starting the news, let's understand the context of the news first. So what actually happened? Recently, Archaeological Survey of India started uncovering a part of the famous 80-pillar assembly hall in Kumharar in Patna. Kumharar is a place very near to Patna. Okay, it is believed that this Kumharar site was a part of Patliputra. Patliputra was the capital city of Mauryans at that point of time. So Kumharar was the part of the town of Patliputra itself. So this was the context of this news. Now let's understand the history of the excavation of this site also. So this is not the first time we are knowing about this famous 80-pillar assembly hall. Actually, the first excavation took place between 1912 and 1915 when we actually found the big stone pillar. Okay, this was the kind of pillar, this big stone pillar we found in 1912 and 1915. After that, and along with that, we have found the evidence of 80 other pillars also. Then in 1960, archaeologists found 4 more pillars in that same area only. But unfortunately, in 2004-05, the area was covered with soil by the Archaeological Survey of India to protect the remains from the water damage. And now, why it is in news? Now, the Archaeological Survey of India started uncovering a part of it so that we can know more about this particular site. So, this was the history of the excavation of this Kumharar site. Now, let's understand the particularity of the architecture also. So this is how that assembly hall, which we see today as ruins, used to look like around 250 BC. Actually, it was an open air hall with 80 pillars, and there was a wooden floor and there was a wooden ceiling as well. Earlier, archaeologists think that this was the place where Ashoka used to sit as a king, but later on we have found that this site was linked to a place where Ashoka actually held the third Buddhist council around 250 BC. As this site was in news, so it is very important anyway, but because in this particular site is linked to the third Buddhist council, so third Buddhist council is also very important for your UPSC examination. So let's understand the details of the third Buddhist council also. So third Buddhist council held in Patliputra under the patronage of Ashoka around 250 BCE. We all know that Ashoka was the king who actually patronized Buddhism, and Ashoka was the king, and Ashoka is the reason that the Buddhism spread not only in India but outside India as well. So the third council held under the patronage of Ashoka. But why this third council was held at the first place? So this is also the question. So actually around 250 BC, the Buddhism was divided into 18 different parts. So it was very difficult to manage Buddhism under single umbrella. Along with that, people were confused about the rules and regulation of monks and nuns which used to live in Sangha, and those rules which were given in Vinaya Pitaka. So these were the questions which were the base of the calling of the meeting of this assembly. So under the patronage of Ashoka, this assembly was successful and these questions were solved as well. Buddha's teachings were reaffirmed, that Buddha's teachings were true, and which were the Buddha's teaching, that was compiled. Along with that, the question and the disputes related to Vinaya Pitaka was also solved. Along with that, another important outcome was the Theravada Buddhism was established as the orthodox school of Buddhism in this particular council only. So these were the important outcomes of this council. But these were not the only outcomes of this council. In this council only, or you can say that this council has actually acted as a base for the Buddhist missionaries, or you can say that the spread of Buddhism outside the Magad area also, because the earlier the Buddhism was very much confined to the Magad area, and under the patronage of Ashoka, during this meeting only it was decided that we need to send missionaries to the far flung area within India and outside India also, right. So Ashoka was the one, during his time only the Buddhism spread to the Gujarat area and the Maharashtra area and the southern part of our India. So this is the scene of Indian territory. Also the Buddhism during the time of Ashoka spread to Sri Lanka also, and the Southeast Asian countries also, particularly Myanmar, or you can say that Burma and Thailand. So the kind of Buddhism we see in Sri Lanka and the Myanmar was the kind of Buddhism which was spread during the time of Ashoka, which is very close to Hinayana, or you can say that Orthodox school of Buddhism. Okay, so and in Sri Lanka the Ashoka actually sent his own son Mahindra for preaching Buddha's teaching. But you all know that the Buddhism is also there in Tibet, Buddhism is there in China, Buddhism is there in Korea and Japan. But the kind of Buddhism we have in the northern countries, that Buddhism is more close to the Mahayana Buddhism. And this was the Kanishka's time. Under Kanishka's patronage, Buddhism spread to the Tibet, China, Korea and Japan. During the Ashoka's time, the Buddhism is spreading to the southern part of India and the Sri Lanka and Southeast Asia. That's why we have a clear division of the kind of Buddhism we have in the southern and in the eastern neighbors of India and the northern neighbors of India. In the southern neighbors and eastern neighbors have a kind of Buddhism very close to Hinayana, because at that point of time the Buddhism was not bifurcated between Hinayana and Mahayana. It is going to happen in the 4th council under the patronage of Kanishka. It was the time of Kanishka, then the Mahayana Buddhism is going to spread to the northern neighbor of our country. So this was all about your 3rd Buddhist council. So indeed we can say that the archaeological site as Kumbh-Harar is nothing but an historical treasure for us, which remind of us our rich cultural heritage. Along with that, this particular site also reminds us of Ashoka's role in spreading unity, Ashoka's role or Ashoka's vision to have peace in the country or in the society in general, and Ashoka's foresightedness to spread the knowledge of Buddhism along with the knowledge of Dhamma, not only within India but outside our country also. I hope you understood this particular news. Thank you very much and have a nice day.